It is very difficult to make friends in your 20s. People switch up so quickly. We can't trust people. I have felt that almost my entire life. I feel like this is like my therapy session or something. Alright, today's guys, welcome back to my channel. So today, by the title, we are doing another podcast style video. I got what? I asked you guys on my Instagram. If you don't follow me, it is Brooke Alicia. I'll leave it here on the screen. But I asked you guys to ask me ask me questions on there. We are doing a video of friendships in your 20s and just in general. I feel like you guys always ask me about this. I struggle with it and you guys have messaged me about it. So I thought we would talk about it and all of that. So we have a bunch of questions here from you guys and all of that. So let's just jump straight into it. All right, so the first one we have here is it easier or hard to make friends in your 20s? I think making friends in your 20s is probably like the hardest it is, because when you're in high school or even like junior high or whatever, you see people every day. You have so many things in common, like you have the same class, like you just see each other all the time. So it's kind of not inevitable, but it's easier to make friends. And when you're in your 20s, you're trying to figure out your own life, you're dealing with your own shit, and a lot of the times the friends from high school and all that, most of the time it doesn't carry on because you're just in two different places in your life. And like I said, you go from like seeing each other every day to not seeing each other like pretty much at all. So it's like a hard transition. I feel like it's either one of those things where you keep the friends from high school or you go your own separate ways, which is totally fine. But yeah, I find it has been so difficult to make friends in your 20s, especially like with what I do. It's like very isolating and I don't have a lot of people to talk to at all. Like I don't go to work or anything. I work at home and it's online by myself. So it is a lot more isolating, but I feel like just in your 20s in general is really hard. Like I said, everyone's in different places in their lives, and it's one of those things where it's either you grow together with your friends or you grow separately and you just grow apart. And that even happens with friendships that you meet in your 20s. Yeah, it's really hard. I feel like it's also a hard time in your life. Like I said, you're trying to figure out who you are as a person, and these are such formative years that making friends, it's like a come and go type of thing, because people are all in different stages. People are getting married, some people are single, people are still living at home and moving out, traveling, whatever. And I feel it's just like there's so many, I don't know, it's really hard, and it's hard to find people that have things in common with you, but also you don't need to have everything in common. I feel like as long as like your values, it's the same thing with like relationships. I feel like friendships and relationships are the same thing. It's kind of like if you have the same like values and you trust each other, and there's a respectful, I don't know, it's just there has to be that level of respect with each other, and that's even with friendships. And I think it's really important, but it's really hard to meet people in your 20s. I've gone through so many periods in my life where I've had like no friends and like a couple friends and like quite a few friends. And it's so confusing. I feel like, again, it's one of those things we're all figuring our shit out in our 20s. So making friends is even harder, because it's like certain people are in our lives for certain seasons, and that's fine. I saw this thing actually like on TikTok, I think it was an analogy of like our lives being a tree, and the leaves are like the seasons and like the people that come and go, and every season like the leaves change and everything. And then we have like the branches, which are like the friends that like stay, but sometimes branches break, even though they're there and there's room to grow and all that. And then there's like the roots, which is like your friends, your family, like your deep core, like people who actually know you for you. And I feel like that's such a good analogy for like just like life in general, because there's so many seasons that we have and people that come and go in our lives, whether that's friendships, relationships, whatever. But what matters, I feel like, is the roots of like who you are as a person, and also like the people that stick around and that actually know you for who you are. I've always found it really hard to make friends in general. I always felt like the outcast growing up. Even like when I was younger, I was bullied and I just didn't fit in at all. So I always found it very hard to fit in. and I always had really bad social anxiety growing up. It's a lot better now. I know how to talk to people now, which is crazy. I never thought I would. Don't get me wrong, I still have social anxiety, but I never thought I don't know, I just never feel like I fit in with anyone, and it's because I'm not supposed to. If you feel like you're forcing yourself to fit in, that is because you're not supposed to. I shouldn't have to shrink myself to fit into someone else's box because I have my own box. We should not have to make ourselves smaller to be in someone else's lives. They should be accepting us for who we are because we have our own box, and those people should be able to come into ours, but also vice versa. And I shouldn't have to shrink myself to fit into yours. Does that make sense? I should be able to, I don't know, I just think I should be able to be who I am without feeling judged and like I don't fit in and I have to be someone else that I'm not. And I feel like that's like a really hard thing for me specifically because I feel like I spent my whole life, especially like my like youthful years, like my teens and just like formative years, trying to fit in with all these groups and really switching like friendships. And it wasn't even purposeful. I was just like I didn't feel like I ever belonged there, and it was kind of like I was never fully accepted, and it really, I don't know, those things really affected me then, and I realized that it still affects me now. And it's one of those things where I've grown to like accept who I am. I love who I am as a person, and the thing is, it's like if you're gonna be in my life, you have to bring these things. And because I know what I bring, I know the type of person I am. I know when I love someone, whether that's friends, family, whatever, we just need to be accepted for who we are and not, I don't know. I always say, like, don't expect anything out of anyone. And I shouldn't expect, even out of friendships, like, I do this a lot. I expect me in friendships, but not everyone is going to be like that. And we shouldn't expect that at all. Because at the end of the day, there's only one of you. And you cannot expect the same, like, level that you would give someone. It can't always be reciprocated. That's so unfortunate, but that's like the reality of the world, is no one is ever going to be the same as you. Of course, they can meet you there and meet you halfway. I feel like there's that balance, and I feel like that's a true friendship, is where you see each other's point of view, but you still clock each other in a way. But unfortunately, it's really hard nowadays. I feel like also this generation has made it so easy for people to be disposable. And I just think that everyone thinks that, I don't know, people just see people now as temporary things. And it's like, we're human, okay? You can't just like, I don't know. I think that people are so quick to cut off people. And I've said this before. People are so quick to cut off people over the smallest inconvenience. And don't get me wrong, certain things are unacceptable and they're unforgivable. But like I said, I feel like this generation just disposes people so quickly, and everyone has faults. No one's perfect, and if you think you're perfect, you're not. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So yeah, I think finding friends in your 20s is really hard because you're trying to figure out who you are as a person, and also like where you're going in life and what you want, and having people that fit into those things in your life is really hard, especially like from like if you have friends from before and growing with them. It's hard for people to accept that you have grown and that you are growing, and either I feel like it's one of those things where they will grow with you, or they will see it as like, okay, no, and you guys go your separate ways, which is so sad. It happens, but I feel like your true friends will stick with you in no matter what phase you are in your life. And if you have that, oh my God, you are so lucky. You're so lucky, because it's such a hard thing to find, and just to be accepted like for who you are without judgment. It is such a hard thing, and I've found it so difficult, and I still do. Finding a good friend is a really hard thing to find in this life, I feel like. Yeah, I feel like it's so sad now. We can't trust people because people switch up so quickly. It is very difficult to make friends in your 20s, but it's also so easy. It's easy to make acquaintances, I think, and it's easy to put yourself out there, but it's hard to make connections, if that makes any sense. Because at the end of the day, a friendship is still a connection. Oh, I feel like this is like my therapy session or something. How do you maintain friendships in your 20s? I think it's one of those things where it's respecting each other's times, but also making time for each other. In your 20s, it's really hard because it's the transition from like, okay, you have this structured life to like a new structure of life, but also everything's in your hands. Like you have to make plans. When you're in high school and like school and all that, it's kind of like you have school from Monday to Friday, and then you have your weekends to like hang out and stuff. In your 20s, it is not like that. You have so much shit that you're doing that you have to make time for your friends. It's the same thing with relationships. You have to put in the work in order for it to last. And same thing goes with friendships. If you aren't putting in the work for your friendships, it's not going to last. But also, I feel like you shouldn't have to see your friends all the time, especially in your 20s. I feel like people should have more of an understanding that we are so busy with our lives, and even if we're texting or like checking in on each other, that should be a sign like, okay, yes, I'm thinking of you, but we don't have to see each other all the time because we're so busy. Like I said, we're figuring our own shit out, and to see each other constantly, it's not realistic. We have family stuff, we have our careers going on, we're trying to figure out this day-to-day life. To maintain your friendships, it's having a mutual respect that like, okay, we both are busy, but we're both going to make time for each other, but we also do not have to see each other all the time. There's just like a high expectation for friendships. For me, I'm a low maintenance friend, okay? I like low maintenance friendships because I'm so busy all the time that I can't, like, for me, it's actually draining. And also, I feel like that's what people don't understand is like, some people don't have like the mental capacity to talk to someone all the time, and that's me. I need space by myself. I need time by myself. I need to be able to collect my thoughts and to process things. And so for me, I like a low maintenance friendship. So when I feel like, oh my God, like this person expects me to talk to them all the time, I feel, I don't know, it makes me a little like anxious because I'm like, I can't give that to you. I feel like it's really important in your 20s to give a lot of time for yourself. And again, it's one of those things, it's hard for people to understand, like, especially when you're like healing and when you're really focusing on yourself. It's fine to do that. It is fine. Like I said, it's a give and take type of thing. But I've noticed when you're growing, especially in your 20s, like I said, like your 20s is such a crazy like shit show. I just feel like it's important to have a level of understanding that it's okay to not talk all the time. We don't have to talk all the time for me to know that you're my friend, and like if you call me and you need me, I will be there, but I can't talk to you all the time. Like I have my own shit I'm dealing with, but if you need me, and I will be there. So I think it's one of those things, again, it's just a mutual understanding, and also it's like, it's okay to have other friendships and pour into those cups as well. I feel like nowadays they're like, you have other friends, like, oh my God, that's crazy. You're allowed to have other friends, and you're allowed to give all these pieces to all these other people as well. And I've learned a lot is like when you grow, and when, like, for me personally, like when I started healing and growing and becoming like kind of in a new way, a new version of myself, that I started to not lose, but I started to distance myself from people that didn't align with my life. And like I said, you're in so many different points in your lives with friends, and you have different careers going on, and it's hard to always try to explain what's going on in your life. It's hard. I don't even know what I'm saying. I can't always explain what's going on in my life for people to understand. Like, you can't always over explaining. Someone's not going to understand. No matter how much you explain to someone what's going on in your life, either your friends are going to understand or they're not. And I feel like if they don't, that is where the distance comes in. And to maintain a friendship, like I said, it's a level of understanding and respect, and being like, okay, I support you, even though we're in completely different places in our life. I support you, and you're doing your thing and I'm doing my thing, but at the end of the day, when we come together, we're able to talk about it, and you're able to fill me in, and we're still able to have conversations and like our values still align. And I feel like when your values start to unalign, that's when the friendship starts to distance itself like quite a bit. That's what I realized. And I just think maintaining your friendships in your 20s is really hard because you have so many things going on in your lives. And again, it's one of those things, it's either your friends are going to understand it, and if they don't, it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow. And change for people is either people take change really well and they'll grow with it and they'll be like, okay, yeah, like this is amazing, like you're changing and you're becoming this new version of yourself, and that's amazing and I love that for you. Or people are going to be like, change? What? Either change makes people uncomfortable or pushes themselves to be like, okay, I can be a better version of myself as well. And it's one of those things in your 20s is they have so much going on in their own lives that they forget that other people have everything going on in their lives as well. We live in a very me generation where people are constantly thinking about themselves, which yes, you should be, but also the world doesn't revolve around you. Everyone else has their own shit going on, and I feel like over-explaining yourself is so exhausting, especially when you're dealing with so much already. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like maintaining friendships is really hard because people lack understanding now. People don't like change. And when people don't like change, it kind of, in a way, that's when I think animosity comes into friendships, and there's like a little bit of resentment coming in. I feel like people say they support you until they don't support you when it doesn't benefit them or when they're not included. Okay, the next one is how to make more friends as an introvert. Oh my god, I am a introvert to the core. Well, I always say I'm an extroverted introvert because I love meeting new people and talking, but I'm shy. Like, I always say I'm so shy, and people are like, no, you're not, but I am. When I'm nervous, I yap a lot. I yap a lot when I'm nervous, so it makes me seem very, like, outgoing, but it's really because I'm, like, internally freaking out. But making friends as an introvert has been very difficult, especially, again, with, like, what I do, like, for a job. But luckily, I have an older brother, and he kind of forced me to go out, and I was kind of, it's also just pushing yourself. I feel like as an introvert, you're so comfortable being in your own space that you have to push yourself to get out of that. You have to make yourself uncomfortable in order to like meet new people and step out of that comfort zone. Yeah, it's definitely putting yourself out there and just, don't be afraid to go up to people. Guys, I literally go up to people. Okay, well, I'm like, okay, yeah, when I go out, actually, I do talk to people. Push yourself, meet new people. Even if you, like, go to the bookstore or whatever, go up to someone, say, oh my god, like, do you have any recommendations? Like, it's so difficult, but it's so easy to make friends, you guys. You just have to step out of your comfort zone. Even, like, at the gym, I talk to people now. Like, oh my god, I would have never thought to, like, have conversations with strangers, but I feel like it's because it's become such a norm not talk to strangers, when before that's what people used to do. That's how people used to make friends. But now we like rely on our phones all the time. So I think it's one of those things, just like getting out of your head and just putting yourself out there and really just, expanding who you meet. One of these is how to navigate your life with your social media life. I think it's really important to have a separation between the two. I always say I have a public but private life. I like to keep a lot of my social life very private, to be honest, but I don't really like to bring light to a lot of like my personal stuff. Of course, I love to talk about myself, like me, I'm like, oh my god, but I don't really like to make other people uncomfortable by bringing them into like my life that way. I share a lot of my personal life, but again, I have like those boundaries. I've learned to like keep certain things separate from my social media. Of course, I post my friends and my family and stuff on my social media. I love showing that stuff with you guys, but also it's like one of those things like respecting other people's boundaries and if they want to be posted or not. Obviously, all my friends know that I do this as a job, but I know like my boundaries and like I like to keep things separately, but also it's my life and I'm going to tell my life, but I also like that's their lives. But if it has to do with me, I'm going to talk about it. So it's one of those things, it's like I know what parts of my life to show and what not parts of my life to show. Yeah, I feel like it's finding that balance between social media and like my personal life. But yeah, it's just a balance between knowing what to post and knowing what not to post and just respecting everyone at the end of the day. So, okay, the next one is, do you have any male friends? I actually don't anymore. I used to. Yeah, a lot of the guy friends that I had, I realized that their intentions weren't actually to be my friend. And this is not just, like, I kind of always had it in the back of my mind, but they were pretty clear with it as well. Yeah, I feel like it's, again, one of those things that's like boundaries. A lot of the guys said that they couldn't be friends with me because they were attracted to me, which, okay, great. So that just showed that their intentions weren't true to begin with. Like, they never had the intention of just being my friend. And then also, friends that I had that were guys were like, oh, when I get into a relationship, I can't be friends with you. So again, it kind of showed that their intentions weren't really to be my friend. I understand it. I totally respect the, when you get into a relationship type of thing. But also, I was never interested in them like that. So I feel like the saying, it's like guys are always friends with girls they're attracted to, and girls are friends with guys that they're not attracted to. That's a very true thing. Because if that wasn't the case, then why am I not still friends with them? So, how to deal with growing apart from friends that you've known for a while. I feel like it's one of those things that's really hard to accept. Again, especially in your 20s, it's like you're growing apart and you're growing in different, just different directions. It's one of those things, it's kind of like you kind of have to accept it. I've actually recently dealt with this, and someone I thought that was gonna be in my life like forever, that was like my best friend for life, we ended up growing apart, which is fine. It's totally fine to like grow apart and all of that, but I feel like the way certain things happened and the way it happens is very telling of a person. But I think it's okay to grow apart from people, I feel like not everyone is going to understand you, and you can't, get them to understand you. At the end of the day, I feel like growing up and growing apart is just a part of life. Like I said, some people are just not meant to be in your life in all seasons of your lives, and that's totally fine. It does feel like shit though, especially when you spent so much time with this person. You really thought they were going to be your best friend. You're not always going to have the people that were in your lives from before now, because your lives don't align. And it's one of those things, again, you aren't feeling the support on both ends, not just you, but them as well. It's just one of those things where it's like, that's just part of your 20s, is growing up and growing apart from your friends. And the same thing goes in relationships. I always say, like, people, you grow together or you don't grow together. And that's very telling with friendships and relationships and all that. Okay, the next one is, how do you deal with your best friend having other best friends? I feel like it's either one of those things where you don't really care or you care. When I was younger, I used to care so much, but also like when you're younger, oh my god, you think you're gonna be best friends with this person forever and like that's your best friend. But then as you get older and then you start to meet new people and then you form different social circles, I feel like it's easier to understand having different friends and then your friends having other friends. If that person's other friendships doesn't affect your friendships, that's all that matters. And again, it's like at the end of the day, they're still going to be there for you. Like no matter what, even with all these people and all these other friends, they're still going to have your back. Once you start also making different friends and having different friend groups outside of like one person, it makes it easier to understand how so many people have different friend groups and friends. Like I always feel like when people are like, oh, I can't mix friend groups and stuff, I feel like that's very telling, because that means that it just means that your values of each friendship doesn't align. So it's kind of like, whoa, I always think this, well, who are you as a person? Because you have all these different friendships, and each person, of course, everyone's going to have a different personality. But if the values of each person is so significantly different, I feel like, what does that say about you? Because that means that your value changes with each person. Well, that's what I think. I always thought like your friends should be able to join and mix together, because if you hold the same standard to all your friendships that your values have to align. You guys don't have to have the same things in common. That is not what I'm saying at all. But you should be able to have the same values in each friendship and be like, okay, my friends can come together because I know that they all could vibe because we all share the same mentality and respect for each other. But I feel like when people are like, oh, I can't mix my friend groups, it's because each person, there's something off. I'm sorry, I have to say it, but there's something off. If you can't mix your friend groups, that means that like the values of your friends are different, and it just makes me feel weird about you. I don't know if that makes sense. It makes me wonder, okay, well, who are you really? Because you have all these different friends, and that means like your vibe switches up with each friend group. That's what I always thought, but I'm just speaking from experience. This is just my opinion, but I think it's okay to have your best friends have other friends, and I think it's okay for you to meet other people as well. We should all be able to have different friendships and be able to, have separate friendships with other people outside of one person. How to deal with fake friends. It's simple. You don't. It's one of those things where it's kind of like you have to learn on your own. For this, I have gone through my share of fake friends. Some people do not show their true colors right away. But yeah, it's simple. Don't deal with them. It's not worth your energy. And also, you deserve so much better than that. You deserve a friendship that is going to lift you up and, support you. It's also not worth the energy. I always say protect your peace. And people that bring like an evilness to your life do not deserve you. You deserve love and, just someone who's going to be there for you. So I know it's hard. I feel like for me, it was really hard to let go of those type of friendships because I was just so scared of being alone. But I feel like there's so much peace in being alone, and you figure out who you are as a person and also the standards that you want in a friendship. If someone's making you feel like shit, they're not your friend. Your friends shouldn't make you feel like that. I always struggled with friendships, and I always wanted to be, in a way, liked by people when I was younger, and I didn't realize how much, like, it affected me now I'm a lot better. Now I honestly do not give two shits. I just don't care now, because when I was, like, in my earlier 20s, I had a point in my life where I had no friends. I had absolutely no friends, and I had to learn the comfortability of myself. Having that time in my life where I had no friends really taught a lot about me and where I want and what I want in a friendship. Okay, so the next one is, what do I do when my friends don't defend me when people talk shit about me? P.S. I love you. I love you. Those are not your friends. Those are not your friends. I always say, if I'm not in a room and my name comes up and you're not defending me, you're not my friend. And I've learned that the hard way. That has recently happened to me. And your friends should be defending you no matter what. And if they're not, they should be defending you, especially if you're not in the room, they should be defending you in public, but then approaching you in private. Say you are in the wrong, okay? So, say whatever. They shouldn't be telling other people. They should be defending you and then clocking you in private and being like, okay. And also, if your other friends feel comfortable talking shit about you to someone that you think is your best friend, those aren't your friends. Those are not your friends, because a friend to all is a friend to none. And I always say that because you cannot be friends with someone who actively speaks shit about me. It's not a thing. And again, that's not your friend. And I learned that the hard way so many times. If they're joining in on it, I'm like, you're not my friend, because a friend would never do that to you. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I always say, like, a friend to all is a friend to none. And I think that's, like, where the loyalty thing comes in for me. It's really also not hard to be loyal and, to have someone's back. But nowadays it is. For me, it's not. I feel like people lack principle and they lack any common sense, honestly. Yeah, people just want to be liked so much to everyone that they will bring down their friend to make themselves feel and look better, and that's not your friend. Your friends are not going to make you feel like shit, and if they're making you feel like that, then they're not your friend. People nowadays have such a expectation of people, they forget that people actually are flawed and we make mistakes and that no one's perfect. For me, it's simple. Like, I understand the definition of loyalty, and when I love someone and when someone's my friend, I am loyal. Like, if you do my friend dirty, like, I cannot be friends with you. I will defend you. Like I said, I'm one of those, I will defend you in public, but in private, I will tell you how it really is. I think that's really important in friendships, is being able to hold each other accountable and to make each other better. And your friendships are supposed to bring out the better version of you and vice versa. And again, you're supposed to be able to grow together and have each other's backs. But nowadays, people lack that. And I feel like that's also why relationships nowadays don't work, because people are just, they just care about themselves. Nowadays, I feel like people just like they lack respect for each other. And I feel like that's why friendships and relationships don't work out. And also because of communication. But also, if you're bringing so much bad energy, I'm not even going to put my energy into you. I'm going to protect my own peace, and I'm just going to, whatever. I just don't have time for people. And people are so aware of their actions. If they're, like, we're old enough to know from right and wrong. I don't know. It's weird. People are weird, and I feel like it's not difficult to be a good person and a good friend, but clearly it is for a lot of people now. So yeah, feeling lonely, not finding your people. Honestly, that is so normal. I have felt that almost my entire life. Even when I had friends, I feel like I didn't have friends really. It's just one of those things where you kind of have to be comfortable being on your own. And I know that is the shittiest advice ever, but that has been the best advice that has worked for me. I was forced to be on my own, so I don't know, it made me learn a lot more about myself, which I feel like is really important, because when you learn about yourself, you're not going to tolerate certain things in friendships. And also, I always say I would rather be alone than be in a room full of people that make me feel alone, because that is such a huge thing. People get so caught up in all these things, whether it being like friend groups and love, or quote unquote love, and like relationships, that they will accept any form of like whatever, whether that be like it's literally, they will accept like the bare minimum, if anything, like nothing, and just because they don't want to be alone. And I refuse to do that. I think it's really important to be on your own and just to kind of figure out who you are as a person. Long-term friendship breakup advice. I always say, I feel like all girls say it, but girl friendships and friendship breakups, they hit, like, they hurt. They dig deep. The best thing you can do is just focus on yourself. I used to honestly really take things so deeply. I don't know. I just used to take things so personally with friendships and just things in general, to be honest, like a few years ago even, that now I'm just kind of like, whatever. I just don't really care anymore. And of course, it's upsetting. You know, you thought that this person was going to be in your life forever, and I always say, like, everything happens for a reason. And I feel like a friendship, it's one of those things, like, how it ends is very telling of not only the whole situation, but your friendship and that person as well. Friendship breakups are, it's very hurtful, because like I said, you trust that person and you thought like that they were this other person. But I think it's like also one of the things, just coming to terms with it and being like, okay, this happened for a reason. And I always say, like, God heard conversations that I didn't hear. Like I said, I would get so upset before, and it would really like just tear me apart for like so long. And I recently had a friendship breakup that I was like, just so, like, for a few days I was kind of like, this hurts so much. And then after, I was kind of like, why am I upset when it showed me who they are, but also what they really thought about me? I said, everyone's meant to be in your life for they're either a root, a branch, or a leaf. And for me, those people were leaves. So it sounds so, like, it just sounds so stupid, but that honestly has helped me so much, kind of accept things, because not everyone is going to be in your life in every season, and they're not going to be there. They helped you for a certain part of your life and they were there for that, but they're not going to be there all the time, unfortunately. And again, it's one of those things that's like really, it's a hard thing to just take and a hard pill to swallow, but I think it's a part of growing. And like I said, different people are going to come into your lives during different versions of yourselves. And if people stick around for each version, that is amazing, and hold on to those people. But sometimes people don't, and that's okay as well. And yeah, it's okay to just, it's okay to lose people, and it's okay to gain people. It's not the end of the world. You're going to meet so many different people in your life that are going to love you for you, and you don't have to change who you are to fit into someone else's lives. And like I said, you shouldn't have to make yourself smaller to fit into someone else's box, and they shouldn't have to make themselves smaller to fit into your box. Your box should be big enough for whoever comes into your life, and the right people will come in, and they will make you feel loved and accepted and not judged. And your friends are gonna help you like in all aspects of your life. And like I said, it's just, people are so disposable of people now, and it's such a sad thing. But unfortunately, that's just like how people are nowadays. But I know it's so hard to like see the positives in losing someone. I feel like it's one of those things, when you get older, you learn, who you want in your life, and the people and what they're going to bring in your life and all that. So, but that is going to finish today's video. Yeah, you guys have been asking for this for a while, and I was kind of holding back on it because I've like been dealing with a lot of stuff, but I feel like it's good to also talk about, things. Like I said, you're going to lose people in your life, and that's fine. And just friendships and relationships in your 20s are so difficult. It's so confusing. You're trying to figure out yourself, and everyone's trying to figure out themselves. And I don't know. Honestly, I feel like everyone just needs to give each other grace and just, understand that we're all human at the end of the day. We all have our own shit, and we're all just trying to figure it out. Like, really. Yeah, that was today's video. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you like me, subscribe down below. I love y'all, and don't forget to love yourself. Until next time, I'll see y'all later. Peace out, scouts. Bye.